the report.
I was just going to say, Adolfo, great sexy legs, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you, mate.
Adolfo is our lively, challenging ruler, who's our warrior ruler. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm so delighted to see all of you wonderful people from Kuala Lumpur and from New York City. That's where you're from, John, isn't it? And from Brisbane and Melbourne and Sydney. So I think that's pretty good, given the chaos that I've caused by putting the wrong timing out in the Americas. I was saying, Adolfo, that I'm having several senior moments this week. So I think maybe it's a call to action, which you and I spoke about, Scott, which is we need time out. Yeah, because we're all very, very wise, expansive people who see change in the world. And actually, it's quite exhausting doing that, isn't it, for yourself? So, yeah. And look, Scott.
Hey, actually, there's a few others that could pop theirs on too.
Oh, there's Masitas. Well, there's another from Kuala Lumpur. So this is, as you can see, I've got it on, and Scott's got one on.
So what's it about?
Well, this is what you're going to find out. I want to give a little intro and then explain
Okay.
why smiles is an important part of creating authentic harmony. And for me, about creating our future is that. But I just wanted to share a few slides. Hello to Masita. Really good to see that you're on here.
Hello,
so,
hi Pauline.
Hi there. So John says it reminds me of the "Don't worry, be happy" song. Absolutely. So I want to show you a few slides, if I may, because I've just put some ideas together, and then I want to ask all of you, especially Scott, about the business of smiles and how we're going to make this world a more authentic, smiling place. Is that okay? It has to be, because that's what I'm going to do. So, I'm trying not to have any more senior moments, because I'm as I said, I've been very much embarrassed by my senior moments. So can you see this wonderful, it looks rather mechanical, but for me, this is all about the circle of life. And I've got really into this idea now of the authentic power grid, i.e. the authenticity that we have within us. And we spoke a little bit of it last time, and I want to know how to navigate your smiles to be harmonious with other people. So I want you to think about you're all smiley people to me, but I wanted to show you something. Now, you can't see all of this, but 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago, I drew this mind map at a retreat that I went to in Scotland. And it was before I met Jim. It was a retreat to take me out of my stuck place I was at the time. And if you can see on here, I wrote the word smiles right in the middle of it. And I put smiles around the world. And you can see the Smile education system, because I thought I'd like to set up the Smile Foundation for education. It was about loving relationships. It was about men and women together, transforming business with love, traveling around. There was all sorts of people having magical conversations down there. So I did this on this retreat, and interesting enough, just at that time, and I walked over coals that night as well, hot coals, to say, give me courage. Jim was on the other side of the world, actually getting married to his third wife. Now there's a funny thing. But what happened was that they didn't last more than 9 months. And when I met him 10 months later, they were actually apart. But smiling goes deeper for me, for all of you. And I want you to think about, how were you as a kid? Were you a smiley kid? Smiles are the authentic expression of who you are. And I very much love this value cycle, that if I know myself and I know my smiles, then I can tune into your smiles and we can smile together. Now, when I was 17, I wrote in my diary that I thought smiles was a really good idea because it made you look more beautiful. And also it seemed to attract other people in a certain way. And I wrote in my diary, I don't understand why adults don't smile as much as I do. It's a much easier way to deal with things. So maybe that was the origin of my magical conversation, but I always wanted to get people together to smile and to really understand now our archetypes. So I'm so glad that Adolfo's here just briefly. He's a ruler, but he's the most beautiful ruler. We have philosophers and rulers here. Maybe we can talk about that. We've got magicians and sovereigns. I'm a magician. But the goal is that with these archetypes, we have some fun actually understanding whatever gender dynamic we are, whatever gender we are, we actually make an impact, a dynamic impact with other people. And I want to look at that through the lens of smiling today, because yes, it's about whether you're male or female or masculine or feminine. This is just part of my build-up. But really what happened for me was I found out my magician. And when I found my magician, I started smiling even more. And this is what's led me to meet Jim, to be here in America, having been in Malaysia with you lovely women for 4 years and had the pleasure to have magical conversations with you. We created this grid. Now, the thing about this grid, I don't want to go into detail tonight because I want to look at how do we bring this power grid together so that we all start smiling. And maybe our smiles are different. Maybe men smile differently to women in subtle different ways. I don't know. But just to alert that we have a sovereign and a magician, and we all are wonderful women. And we've also got the ruler and the philosopher. And what I'm studying now is how to build a gender dynamics sort of application with David Raymond in Australia, in fact. But I want to give a way of really understanding that we're all sorts of beautiful, wonderful women, and we all smile and laugh in different ways. And also men are different to each other and they all smile in different ways. So I really wanted to look today at this man here, Scott. And I know that Alan and Angela are very much part of this, but I love the idea of the business of smiles. And Jim wrote a song called Smiles, Emerging from the Darkness. But Scott, you do have a fabulous smile. And really what I want to do is to take a look at how we, as a whole community of lovely, intelligent, magical conversation world players, how are we going to bring smiles together? What does actually smiling mean to you? So I want to ask Scott for a start, because Farida actually said, you know, what is this business of smiles? So I want you to tell us with the understanding that we know nothing, Scott. Because Frida doesn't know, some of these lovely people don't know. What's it about and what's the intention and how can we expand it?
Yeah, I love it. And thank you, Pauline, for the opportunity to share the story of the business of smiles, because not unlike this, it comes from a place of support. It comes from a place where we've had to work through things and create new opportunities when some things hadn't kind of worked out. The business of smiles is about reconnection, because it's time to reconnect, yeah? It's time to bridge the gap. Time is now, and it all starts with a smile. You know, in a year that's been an opportunity for many people with all the things of COVID going on, how are we still smiling? How are we still being involved in our communities and walking out with big smiles? A pair of socks. These socks, they have a significant meaning. The black dots, they represent our dark days. We all have them. No one's getting out of that. The yellows, that warm winter sun on your back, that's our community getting around you on your dark days. The business of smiles was it started with a gentleman by the name of James Short, and Alan Stevens, who's sitting with us today, actually introduced James and I. James and I had a conversation, and previously, before I'd met James, the business of smiles was Sunday sessions where I'd have men coming together every Sunday morning at 6 a.m. to get together and run, walk or jog just to spend time together, because we found that was a great place to be able to express ourselves in a really calming environment. And through COVID, that got taken away. So I was a little bit despondent because we weren't able to get together. So I was having a conversation with James and I said, Shorty, I've got an idea. Shorty goes, I'm in. I said, I haven't told you what the idea is yet. I said, I want to run from Sydney to Melbourne. I don't just want to run from Sydney to Melbourne. I want to start conversations along the way. So with our socks, we want to give 10,000 socks on the journey from Sydney to Melbourne, roughly 1,350 kilometres, to start 10,000 conversations. Now, why 10,000 conversations? Yeah, they say it takes 10,000 hours to become proficient in something. Yeah, it takes 10,000 steps to be fit and healthy each day. And if you listen to Justin Bieber, it takes 10,000 hours to earn that sweetheart of yours. Don't mind my singing. But the reality is, what's 10,000 conversations going to do to our reconnection, our mental health opportunity at the minute? Unfortunately, actually, I'm going to change that. I'm going to say, fortunately, due to the opportunity called COVID, we weren't able to run from Sydney to Melbourne. So we decided to do a virtual run. The virtual run was something that I didn't expect. Doing what I do, last year I focused on suicidal men and I had a very, very successful year. Although I realised that I was downriver picking up bodies. I wasn't there fixing the bridge so people didn't fall in. And that's what the business of Smiles is about. That's about creating a safety for us all to be a part of our community. It's not about having answers. It's just about being able to be there at the right time. Along with the Campfire Project, that's where we have our big conversations. And if you guys aren't involved in the Campfire Project, and I know quite a few of you are, please come on board and listen to the conversations we have, because that's a big part of what we do. The business of Smiles is formed from the Campfire Project. So that's an amazing thing, which I'll jump back into a little bit later. So on this virtual mission that we did, we took off for the day with socks in our bags, yeah, backpacks, and we're out. The gentleman who walked with me did 41 kilometres with me. He's a gentleman that last year was suicidal. He was a client of mine. 8 months ago, nearly 9 now, he was still an ice user. 8 weeks ago, he did 41 kilometres with me, learning how to say thank you to people in our community, learning how to say hello again, reconnecting in our community. A guy who has had a lot of opportunities in life and is still working towards seeing his kids, was a part of something so beautiful that neither of us expected the result that we got. To pay homage to that walk, last Friday, we started our very first coffee, connection and community, 7 a.m. coffee in Parkdale in Melbourne. I went for my run, came back to Parkdale, and there was one person there. And my motto is, doesn't matter if it's only one person, that is a success, because everything has a ripple effect. While I'm sitting there with this amazing person having a cuppa, ladies come over and she's gone, Scott, how are you today? I said, really good, thank you. I said, do I know you? She goes, I just bought a pair of socks. I said, fantastic, thank you. I said, can I get a photo of you and the socks? Put it up on socials. She says, actually, I'm paying it forward. I'm like, thank you very much. So give it to someone else. She goes, you don't remember me, do you? I said, actually, no, I don't. I can't see you with the mask on. She took the mask off. I had tears in my eyes. This lady, 7 weeks ago on our walk, we met her. She was sitting in the park on her own. And we sat with her, Drew and I, and we listened to her for half an hour, 40 minutes. She goes, I'm done. I'm actually on the phone to my counsellor because I can't handle a relationship with my husband and where things are with the kids. So we just sat and listened. We thanked her for doing her best. We gave her a pair of socks. Thought nothing of it. That lady is a lady who came to the coffee shop. She said, thank you for doing what you did because I'm still here because you did. Pair of socks. When we walk around and say thank you to people for doing their best because we all are, every single one of us. A smile emerging from the darkness is so apt right now. We're in a time of life where we're being challenged like never before. We're learning how to use our emotions. We're learning the impact that our emotions have on us. It's no longer time to talk at people. It's time to just listen and appreciate the fact that we're here together. Oh. I love it. The business of smiles, this is not just one story. I wish it was. But there's so many stories. The other day I was running along the road in my big smiley t-shirt and a young guy, I go into the service station to grab a Powerade because I'm running out of energy and I need to get a quick drink. As I go in, they're 2 for $6 rather than 1 for $5.50. And it was, I'm like, I'm going to buy 2 here because it's, okay. I'm tired of the money. I've got to make sure. As I'm going, I'm like, how do I run with this? There's a young guy behind me. I said, listen, can you take this on me? That's fine. He goes, thank you very much. I said, yeah, I don't want to run with it. He goes, yeah, no dramas. He goes, great socks. Thank you very much. I told him the story about the socks. Black dots represent our dark days. He goes, thank you for the drink. He goes, actually, I've just got out of rehab. I've been in there because I've been on ice for quite some time and I was trying to keep 4 jobs together to support my family and I just blew up. I said, thank you so much for sharing that with me. Thank you so much. And we sat and we had a conversation and he was safe to share him. I dream of a world where we're all safe to share ourselves because we're all worth it. What is the business of smiles? It is a smile emerging from the darkness. This opportunity that we've lived for millennia where it's a fear-based society. What would love look like? What would it look like if we chose love as our tool of choice, of support? You know what it would look like? It'd look like my face. The business of smiles. I was on the streets at 14. I've lost 2 businesses. I've had to start again from scratch. This year, I have had a magnitude of opportunities and I'm still smiling because I have the support of people in my life that matter. We can get through anything if we're prepared to sit and listen. I just want to say thank you so much for hearing me today. I want to say thank you for bridging my gap.
Scott, you were stunning, and I know there's many stories that of people that you talk to but listen to. I think that's one of the keys, is listening. And interesting enough, I've been on a 30-day listening challenge with a lovely consultant in England. It was an app where you add in your wins and how to listen, and it stopped me. I'm still having these senior moments, but it stopped me a lot over the last 30 days to listen. And I think you're really right about the fact that some people just need a listening space. So when we talk about magical conversations, and Asma, who's sitting here as well, we and Masita and Vanitha and Farida, we were in magical conversations in Malaysia. And it's all this thing about being in a space where there's not reckless noise. There's actually intentional conversations that we can actually look at these issues of the world And what I love about what you're doing is that it's very transparent as well. And I wondered if we could go around and just comment on the idea of how smiles can make a difference to this world. Because as I said, you know, I've still got my scrappy little notes in this diary that I wrote when I was 17. And I knew I did it, but when I actually saw my scruffy 16-year-old handwriting saying, you know, I think that if I was looking in the mirror, I was going, well, I think if I smile, actually, I look better and I feel better. And it's such, to me, it's such an interesting thing that in this world, which is so tortured at the moment, all the things that we could do to save the world are all free. So our imagination, our smile, our natural gifts, everything that we could use, we've got them in spades, but so often people don't use them. So I think I'd really like to hear from everybody about their feeling about this, and also coming from your own experience in different cultures. Are there different ways that people smile? I know we've got a few different cultures here. I've got a British culture, and Angela's got a background German culture hiding away there. And, you know, we've all got different backgrounds. So maybe let's just go around and see how can we utilize this seemingly simple activity. And I know with Alan, you work with facial recognition. You know, do people hide away behind ingenuine smiles? And how do we actually spot them? When I worked in the image world with a lovely American lady called Barney Trombley, we always used to say that if you had genuine confidence, which implied a genuine smile, the best thing you could do was to give it away, i.e. share it. You can't keep a smile and stand in the corner. So what are your thoughts? Who'd like to go first?
Pauline, oh, go ahead, please.
Yeah, Adolfo, in your car. You go.
Yeah, if you can hear me, I'll try to be brief because Scott, let me just say that you were beautiful in expressing what we all need and what we all can do. It expresses what Pauline said. What we have in spades is our heartbeat and the ability to breathe. And that's literally free, right? We need a little bit of sustenance to keep the heart beating, but it's free to share what beauty we have. And Pauline, when you spoke earlier about when you were a girl, you didn't understand why adults don't smile. And that's still the question that the adults in this room have, right? Our inner child is well and good, and we still are in pain for watching adults that believe that adulting is something different than letting their inner child accomplish something. And so it's not only magical, but an imperative conversation to have. You know, I honor and thank that you gave me this material to honor myself, to know that my masculinity, that my presence in a room, with the appropriate understanding of myself and others, I can do more and I can accomplish the promises that I made myself as a kid. So I no longer have to be angry or upset at the previous rulers that have been in my life or done something. I can just go on down my path and see my experience and my failings and the things that have been taken away from me as nothing but a blessing. And I appreciate what you all said. I want to hear from everybody else in the room, but smiling and sharing our inner child finally accomplishing something should be something to fight for. So I am definitely here as a warrior ruler with an open heart and would die for this kind of material. So thank you, Pauline, for sharing it, and Scott as well for your open, beautiful heart.
Thank you. Who wants to pitch in?
Okay, I'll go.
Okay, John, you go, and then Asma. John, what's your
Okay.
thought?
Yeah, I think we need more smiles in the world. I'm always smiling in the sense that growing up, some people call me Smiley, and one thing that I've recognized is that no matter what, seeing people smiling is almost like a form of greeting for me, for someone that I know. And no matter what, it when you smile, people they'll smile back. It might even be a stranger, and they'll smile back at you. And so I think it's very interesting. By the way, I spent Thanksgiving and over the weekend watching your YouTube videos. I would definitely recommend that people subscribe to Dr. Pauline's YouTube channel. And Zen was able to connect with me on LinkedIn because of you. And then I checked out his YouTube channel, and he was interviewing a lady. He calls her the brain geek, or the neuro geek. And so during their conversation, she had mentioned a book called the Permission to Feel. And so I have just started to read that book, and it mentioned that it's about how to regulate your emotions to know what you are feeling and whatnot. But it mentioned in the book that smiling, people, when you smile at people smile back, and if it's very authentic, it lasts longer. Or the person smiling back, it lasts longer. And so I think that we need more smile in the world. And speaking of cultures, I'm from the Ashanti tribe in Ghana, and the Ashanti tribe is a subset of the Akan. So there's a bigger group, the Akan tribe. And the Akan tribe, there's a saying, we have a saying called if you're not friendly, usually if you're not friendly, it means you don't smile, and so we call that particular type of person someone with a smelly nose.
Thank you for that, John. That's lovely. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you. Asma, what would be your view, coming from a beautiful Malaysian view about smiling?
Thank you, and Pauline. For me, a smile is an act of charity. And the more you smile, the more exude, the feelings of, I suppose, friendliness. I was sharing, the concept of smile in a cross-cultural environment. And I think someone, I'm not quite sure where he was coming from, but I suspect he was from Europe, Eastern Europe. So he said, if I smile in my culture, it is like a signal. So I got to be very careful about how I suppose come across. Yeah, so I suppose different cultures have different ways of interpreting that smile. But I'm just wondering now, with COVID and the fact that we have to wear a mask, how do we communicate that smile? And I really salute what Scott is doing, to communicate that act that we thought it's in the face, but now it could be in the way we demonstrate affection in different ways. It could be through our heart, it could be through our eyes. That's the only way we can communicate now. So how do you smile through your eyes? In this era of face masks.
Yes.
So I think we have to explore different ways of communicating that smile across cultures.
That's great. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
We're talking about smiling, but let's go to Angela.
when this triggered something I haven't thought of in years. When you were talking about a smile makes you pretty, and then Asma was talking about some, you know, a smile can be risky. I love smiling at people, and I think it's really important that, especially, I mean, like walking around here, I know at the moment people are so lonely, you know, especially older people. So I always make a point of smiling at them and saying hello. We don't have to wear masks at the moment, so that's really fortunate. But I remember there was a time, and it was in the short, there were two events shortly after one another where two guys said to me, and this is quite a few years ago, in a kind of, you know, bar environment. I was going out and I was deep in thought, and they both said to me, you know, like, come on, smile, you're so much prettier when you smile. And it was a come on line. It was very, and I remember thinking, how dare you? And I started shutting down. I didn't want to smile at people because I didn't feel safe.
Yes.
And then I came to the conclusion where I went, okay, well, that's not really my problem. I love smiling. I like connecting with people. So if somebody takes it the wrong way, I can put a boundary in place, but I can say a smile is a smile. It's not an invitation to step over boundaries. It's an invitation to connect from human to human. And I think that's what's really important. And as long as we know that that's the case, I think it's really easy to, when I put that intention into my smile, it comes across that way.
Yes. Well, that's right. And I think this is this thing about the genuine smile or the secret signals. So maybe we should ask Alan about this as you study faces.
There's a couple of things that Asma said. First of all, as you said, it's an act of charity. But the charity is not just for the other person. The charity is for you to start with. Because when you smile, you breathe in, you slow down, and that changes the chemicals in your body. So you're the first recipient of that. And then when you smile at other people, they get that. So then you're giving them something, but they're smiling back at you, you receive it again. So you get it twice. You get it when you do the smile, and you get it when it comes back from the other person. But when it comes to a smile, there's two types of smiles. There's that little, you know, thank you for that. The auntie bought me a pair of socks for Christmas, and I'd say, oh, thank you very much. You know, that polite smile. Or that's a real enjoyment. Now, I've been wearing in Newcastle in New South Wales, we've had to wear masks going to the shops. And I've been realizing if you really smile, if you've got a true, genuine smile, the orbital sockets around your eyes the skin there will go really tight. Those little lines that you get out the side. And by the way, ladies, if you've got those little laughter lines, that is beauty that goes all the way to the bone. You don't get those lines unless you've been a happy person.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you're a mature woman, you don't have those lines. And I can't see a little corner of the mouth turned up, especially if they're wearing masks. I can't do that then. And I'm in a room full of people. You're not the one I'm going to talk to. I'm going to be talking to the woman who's got the lines out here because I know that person is a happy person, and it's much easier chance of having a enjoyable conversation with them. But the fact, if you really have a true smile in your face, your eyes smile. And I've been practicing. I go down to the shops. I've got my mask on. I'm smiling at people, and I'm seeing their eyes smile back. So I know under their mask, they're doing exactly the same thing. And while we're looking, we're actually taking more attention to the other person. They're picking that up as well. Now, as Angela said, when those guys use that term with it, yeah, it was an obvious pickup line. But I've actually said to somebody, I've said to people before, we're not trying to pick them up, but it might be something they've been wearing. I'll make that not just a bit of flattery because I'm trying to get something back, but a compliment to them. A woman asked me one day, it was, I think it was one of our big race days here in Australia. It was Melbourne Cup Day, and she walked past wearing this beautiful outfit. And I made a comment about it. And I not just said she looked great, but the fact that the way she walked, the material, the way it hung on her body, the way she moved, the elegance and everything else. And as I walked up the road, looking in the shop window, she was turned around and watching me walk away. So I know that when you do a compliment, it impacts on people. So do it for the right purpose. And, you know, if I'd have been saying that to Angela, in my point of view, it would have been like, yep, you look fantastic. Your eyes light up. You know, the room actually senses it as well. The energy is there. So you add it to the compliment, and then you can have those lines. But, you know, you just got to be careful about how you do it. Some people are just doing it, as Angela said, to try and pick her up.
It's the intention. behind it that
the
matters.
intent behind it. If you have the right intent, your body is going to give that out, not only in your facial expression, but in the body language as well. As you said, the way you're standing, the way you're moving, your breathing, everything else is going to change. There's about 2 million bits of information we pick up every second, and we only take in about 134 bits, they tell us, in NLP. So there's a whole lot we miss. But there's plenty there. If you just take that opportunity to look, you'll see all of that.
Yeah, so what we're saying is that the smile isn't just this bit.
No.
It has to be
It
the whole.
radiates through your body. You really have a smile, you'll find that your whole body, the posture will soften. You're not so tense in your movement. The chest will come out as well. The shoulders will go back. You see the energy lift, because we are energy beings. You walk into a room, and how many times you walk into a room and you sensed energy and you go, I'm getting out of here. Or you've gone in and you go, oh, this feels great. So we don't need to see it. We can feel it when we look for it.
Pauline, can I please be a little bit of a ruler in this room and just interject real quick? Because
Yes.
Helen, you just put everything beautifully. I do that exercise all the time, with or without a mask. I'm convinced that your entire face smiles. I tell people, if I can't see your smile behind your mask, you're not really smiling. And what I did an exercise when I was studying my MBA, which kind of made me a little bit sad, and it goes a little bit to Angela's point. I would just look at everybody in the eye, all strangers, right? It's a giant campus, and smile at everyone, genuinely trying to say, have a good day, without using any words. Unfortunately, the statistics of people actually looking back at me or making any eye contact was below 20%. So what I like about this conversation is that it's beyond what we can get as individuals learning these amazing lessons. It's what are we going to go do out when we hang up on this call, and do with the people that have an issue smiling back and realizing that it's okay to be happy. You know, take that responsibility to share this material out there, and, you know, being genuinely happy is our mission in life. So
Yeah.
my rant is done, but thank you for putting it together, because I'm convinced that intention is true.
On that little point that Adolfo has just said, is that if the person doesn't smile back at you, while I'm looking in that smile, I've noticed as much as I can about, there might be something that stands out to me. And then I'll just say to them, look, the reason I was smiling at you was I just noticed this. It might have been the jacket they were wearing, the shirt, shoes, or the way they were walking, and or about their presence. That gets into a conversation. This is what Scott does when he goes out talking to people. He connects people, not just with a smile, he connects with them at the soul level, and having those conversations. And people just, next thing you know, they're telling him his life story, and he's only met them 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, that's right. So what about Farida or Masita, Vanitha? You have a view? Vanitha?
Good morning, everybody. I was just thinking about the time. I like to smile a lot, so, you know, that kind of, I think it's part of our culture as well, and maybe the way my family is. And my dad, especially, I think I get that from my dad. But I remember one incident. I was training to become a drama therapist, and I was working in a mental hospital in London. And I remember it was part of my internship. So I was listening to this client, and I had a smile on my face. It's almost like unconscious because it's like a habit. And I'm like, you know, I'm just listening. And he turned around and asked me, "I'm telling you my problem. Why are you smiling?" You know. And then I'm like, okay, I need to be a bit more conscious about the way in which I'm projecting, like my, you know, my face, my emotions, or whatever it is, to be more conscious of that, what I'm doing with my face, you know, in the presence of listening to my clients, you know. So that I've been quite mindful of that. I'm not sure that whether that is a good thing, but at least it kind of gives them, you know, what I notice is, at least it gave him a little bit more of like that awareness that what am I doing with my facial expression when I when when I'm listening to them with a smile. And it's hard for someone when they are going through. What I found is that it may be difficult for someone who's going through a traumatic period or difficult period in their life, and when they are telling you their problems, for you to smile and yeah, because there's no connection. The connection is as if they may feel that you're not empathizing to their situation or genuinely listening. So I'm thinking, okay, yeah, so I'm a little bit more conscious now. That was like 17 years ago or more, or maybe more. But yeah, so that's something that I take. And I also resonate with what Asma was saying earlier about it really depends on the culture as well. Like I tend to smile a little. Right now I'm living in Penang, which is an island, and people are a bit more friendly, but still, Malaysians, I don't know whether, it's still a city, right? So people are a little bit reluctant to smile back. You could smile. I mean, most of the time I'm smiling anyway. Sometimes it depends on the mood, like whatever, but I'm not afraid to smile, or I'm not holding back a smile or something like that. But I also have, since I'm familiar with this culture, I also know that not everyone is going to smile back. They're just like, what's she smiling about? Like kind of thing. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, all right. So you just kind of, and it really also depends. I feel that what kind of mood you are in, so that whether that the smile is genuine or not. Sometimes you're caught up in your day and caught up in what you need to do. You tend to kind of focus on that rather than being present with, like, okay, I'm in my car and I'm happy and I'm driving, so I'm going to smile. Or I'm going for a walk and I'm happy and I'm going to smile because I'm feeling good. That kind of thing. So that's my opinion on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add on that there's also a great opportunity there as well, as when that person said to you that why are you smiling? So if they just started to come out and just tell you their story, well, that's another thing. But in the Campfire Project, I've interviewed hundreds of people where they've come and told their stories. And as we all know, that everybody's different. Nobody's got the same story. Everyone's story is therefore unique. And I'll smile a lot when people are telling me their stories. They talk about some of the tough times. If the person says to me, hey, why are you smiling? Or I notice that expression on their face, they're thinking to themselves, but haven't said it, why are you smiling? I'll just say, look, I noticed that you saw that I was smiling, or they've said it. And I say, well, I know the reason why I'm smiling is that you've just honored me. Most people will keep their secrets to themselves, and you've given me the opportunity to hear your story and to be part of you being able to express that story. And I'd love to hold space so you can continue telling the story. You can turn it around. So there is no right or wrong, and there's no good or bad. It's how we then react to the situation, how we can turn it around. So there's massive opportunities, no matter what the situation.
I think you're right, Alan. It's about feeling the situation. So Masita or Farida or Zen, who would like to go for next? You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. But hi, Masita.
Okay. Hi. I'll just pick up on a few things that was mentioned, and it's triggering a few things like the act of charity. And it was a bit strange when I was growing up, as a teenager. You look at magazines and you see all the beautiful girls and, like Brooke Shields and, all those top-rated models, and the first thing they say that, models don't smile because it creates lines on their faces, and so you grow old with lines on the faces. And I found that very strange. I was like, oh, how can people not smile? How can they even learn not to smile? So it was something that was embedded in me, and I just found it very strange. But so I just kept on smiling. It's like Vanita was saying, I don't hold it back. Yes, sometimes people don't smile back at me, but generally, maybe 8 out of 10 would smile back, and it lifts me up, and I think it lifts them up. But it's that you know, in what do you call it, non-verbal connection that's made. We might not even say anything, because sometimes when I you know, like shopping centers, or when I go to this little prayer room that we have in a shopping center to do our little prayers, and you know, when a stranger just comes inside the room to also do their own prayers, and we would just smile at each other, and then it just gives you that safe feeling that I'm not threatened in this space, you know. All is good, and so you can pray you know, peacefully and quietly. And then the other thing was about the culture. Yeah, I mean, when I first traveled you know, to study in the UK, it was very strange for me, because I kept smiling at people, but people didn't smile back at me. So I found that very strange, because I said, in my country, yeah, so I said, in my country, most people would smile back. And then, you know, fast forward 20 years later, I was in the, you know, my office was next to Asma's office in the company, and I got to learn about her work on culture. And then she said, different cultures respond differently to smiles. And sometimes, you know, they are more expressive, and some cultures are less expressive. Only then I could connect the dots, you know. And then I said, okay, so I now know when to smile and when not to smile too much. So okay, that's my take.
Thank you. Let's hear from Farida. She's quietly smiling away up there, and then I'll come to you. So.
Okay, so thank you for all the sharing. You know, I think when I tell you this, I'm really opening up, but if I don't tell you, I don't think you're gonna guess. Actually, I grew up in a family who doesn't smile much at all.
Oh.
I come from a big family. There are 8 siblings. My parents were teachers, primary school teachers. So they weren't earning a lot, and no smiles. And somehow my parents' relationship also between them, I'm sure there was love, but you know, it didn't come out, and that's how I grew up. So I think I found myself when I started to work. So I actually got really into the working world only after I got married and moved to Malaysia. Yeah. So, for those who do not know, I'm actually originally from Singapore. So my siblings and all are still there. So as I grew up, I found more of me. So if you can imagine coming to work at the age of 24, I have 24 years, I carried with me 24 years of no smile. And then I did accountancy, nothing to smile about. I think you know that. But when I got into working world and I found me, you know, I realized when I was given a temporary job scope of a human resource, one aspect of it, because we did not have a human resource person for a while in the company. And then I realized that, oh, I like people. And so I did a diploma in human resource in the evenings at night. As I go on, I found the real me. So imagine when I reached 40, I brought with me the 4 years of no smile. Okay. And that's only that's 40% out of 40 years. So I have now more years of smile, right? 60 years. So now I'm 70. So only 24 years of no smile. And so many more years of smile, 70% of smile. So today, when I talk to people, I meet people, and you know, I basically I love children, and I actually say hello to strangers very easily. And I find that that's me. And over the years, staying with my parents, you know, don't talk about music, let alone partying. But the minute I moved to Malaysia, you know, I found that what's me is actually music, dancing, nightlife, and people in Malaysia really didn't see that 24 years of no smile of me. Yeah. So basically it was, you know, experience. It was discovery for me, but it was not like conscious self-discovery, like, oh, I want to know, oh, I don't like that. No, it just grew, you know, and then I realized that this is now the me. So, and I'm very adventurous and I travel a lot, but with my parents, no. So if you meet the rest of my sibling, I will look like, you know, a sore thumb sticking out because they're all different. And maybe they think I'm crazy. I'm like laughing and giggling and playing with the kids. Yeah. So now my friends that who know me in Malaysia see very little of my first 24 years. Yeah. So that's it.
I think what's wonderful is that the energy. So there's the other thing that's attached to this smiling stuff is that you see that this burst of energy. That we get to you now, Zen, but I was brought up in a family that was always laughing and smiling, and we were always doing lots of things together. So I was very fortunate that we were brought up in that atmosphere, and we would giggle a lot. And in fact, I remember my sister and I getting told off in a prayer session because we started giggling. We were doing prayers at Christmas in front of the crib, but we were having a little giggling fit because that's what young sisters do. So we got actually told off for smiling, but that's a slightly unusual situation. But I love this idea that it's a free gift that we can have. And even if we've had that 24 years of no smiling, you can actually change it. So we can change the world, that is for sure. If we can make sure that everybody understands the value of this. So Zen, I think you were caught coming in late because I had my senior moment of getting the time wrong in America, which I have to laugh about. But tell us what smiles mean to you.
First of all, namaste and in lak'ech. It's just great to be here. Gosh, my head was going on so many different tangents listening to folks and just so many wonderful experiences in all kinds of different ways. I think I first learned about smiling and the energy that it carries. I remember, now I'm orphaned at birth, adopted, found out I was adopted, and then began developing this inner communication. Just about the same time, I walked into the back of the church with my parents, and I grew up in the United Methodist Church, small town. And I walked in and I was just telepathically, "Hi, everybody." And everyone down the aisle turned and looked at me. And I didn't think anything of it in the moment because I felt like, that's what they were supposed to do, because I reached out to them. I didn't say it. It was all an internal. So over the years, I learned that kind of energy, that smile, when it's in your being, you can walk into a room and it turns heads. So it's that powerful of an energy. And so that's just exciting to me. And so when you live with that for some time, it's just a normal way of being. And even in those moments when you're talking to someone and like you were having trouble with determining what kind of face to show to someone telling your troubles or telling you their troubles. Well, there's nothing wrong with having a smile, even with that, and stating that I'm enjoying hearing you speak. And it's authentic. It's not going to come off as sounding goofy or inconsiderate or even inauthentic when you're in that place of truly smiling and genuinely opening up to another. And so often we don't do that. I was guilty, have been guilty of walking down the street and bending over to someone who's looking down and waving at them and smiling just to break up. I'm kind of a nutty guy. And still, at my age, I have fun. I act like a teenager most of the time because it's fun, right? And when you're having fun in life, everybody else around you has a better chance of doing that as well. And it's just when you're happy with you And, you know, I've been through enough trials and tribulations to know that this cycle, I've learned to call it excruciatingly fun, right? Because you go from tragedy to triumph, and sometimes it's rapid, sometimes it's not so much, but we all have those patterns of and cycles of things that we go through in order to grow and gain more awareness and become a happier human being by the things we choose to let in our lives, right? So, you know, that smile is the beginning of it, and it just exudes invitation for the universe to respond. At least
I love that. I love that. That is absolutely beautiful. And, you know, I keep my favorite value cycle here, but, you know, you've got to smile at yourself before you smile into relationships. And then you smile as groups of people. And of course, the famous song, you know, we'd like to teach the world to sing, is all about smiling as well. You know, we like to teach the world too.
I like to teach the world to sing. Oh, the old Coke commercial, right? That was.
But I think what has been wonderful listening to you all, and I love the fact that we have who we have here, is that we each have a slightly different story about smiles. We've got different histories, we've got different cultures. We've got the, you know, is it creating love or charity, or is it creating suspicion and might get chatted up? Is there a wary bit about it? Is it different for men and different for women? You know, I mean, there's lots and lots of things you think of, but the main thing for me is that it's free. And I always remember thinking that is really cool, isn't it? That we've been born with this ability to smile. And it's about happiness, and it's about fun. It's about potentially, maybe culturally, it's about different types of humor. You know, if we're getting into laughing, smiling, but that's the whole level of it. But I think this multiple experience, and when we go back to the idea of the business of smiles with Scott, is just that it's putting an intention and then putting a journey with it. Somebody else who I've introduced Scott to is a guy called Ken Roshan, and he and his colleagues run the Keep Smiling movement. And what's interesting with that is, again, it's a very simple idea. Like, those of you who haven't seen yet, I've got my smiley t-shirt on. Scott, show yours. Now you can all have one of these. Okay, you have to order one from Scott. But the Keep Smiling movement, I want to tell you the story very quickly, is that there was a guy called Barry Shaw. Barry Shaw is about 80, I think now, and he was in about 70. He was, I don't know from what reason, but he was a quadriplegic. So he was in hospital, he was a quadriplegic, everything had stopped working. And he's lying there thinking, not sure I like this too much. So he started smiling. And literally his story is that he smiled so much that everybody who would come and visit him, the nurses would come, the doctors, and they'd always have, and he's totally crazy smiling. I mean, you got to watch some of his, he's like, whoa, that kind of, not quite Benny Hill, but it is, but he cured himself. He was definitely a quadriplegic, and he does have to use crutches, and he's very old, but he can walk around. And he said it was because he smiled. So he created some cards which says, keep smiling. And there's nothing else on the card. It says, keep smiling. It looks like a business card, but and Ken Roshan met him and said, well, I can take photographs of people holding the card. So Ken is a very good photographer. He would go to events and he would just say to people, would you hold this card? And as soon as people read the card, what did they do? They started smiling. And it's this ripple effect, isn't it? It's like if you decide to smile, like for Farida, what Farida's saying is she changed it because she got into an environment. So these cards he photographs a person with this card, and then he puts it in a book. And I'm in one of the books, and my husband is as well. And you could all be, but the idea is that you put in why you smile, what's your story, and what your wisdom is, what your gift is. And there's hundreds of these books, and we still don't know quite how they're going to multiply around the world, but it's a very simple idea. because once you see the card and everybody just holds the card and they automatically smile at the camera. And capturing that, it adds to what you're doing, Scott, and what we're doing with our work in corporate heart, in magical conversations, or all of you doing work in a field of embracing humans, whether it's dancing or workshops or reading faces or running businesses. It's the simple ideas that make the difference. So I want you to connect with Ken as well. Angela.
Talking about taking photos with everybody, and I mean a genuine smile, and I'll take a screenshot.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Smile at the camera.
Adolfo, can you? Okay. Oh, you're getting.
Yeah, wait. Yeah, it's getting dark in here, and I'm so.
We're gonna have Adolfo smile.
Smile. Capture. Okay. Wonderful.
I'm sorry if my eyes will not be looking, but my smile is genuine. I didn't want a genuine accident as well, so.
You be careful with driving.
Yes, ma'am.
I really appreciate that. For some reason,
Thank you again, but I must go. Appreciate all of you.
Yes, well, we've come to the top of the hour, so we're going to finish now. But I think.
I'll be rude for a second,
Scott,
Pauline.
what would you like to say now?
Could I just be rude for a sec? I just want to say thank you to Farida, because one of the things that a 10-year-old boy taught me was, what do we need in society? What is it, the thing that's going to bring us back together? We need to find our passions.
Yes.
From a 10-year-old boy. When we find our passions and when we find ourselves, our smile is so genuine. I'm going to show you something quickly of nearly 40 years ago. I was at school and my parents split up not long after this happened. But we did a time capsule, and the time capsule was for every student within the school. Now, I'd long forgotten about it. Recently, I went back to the school and I had a look at the time capsule. What I'm about to show you now is my brick. Oh,
hang on, it's gone. It's gone, Scott.
No, oh, okay. There you go. That's my brick. Smiley face. My question is now, are we innately born with a smile on our face and then life takes it away from us? Is it not our job to find our smile?
Yes.
I'll leave you with that.
Let me take another photo. It didn't work. For some reason, it didn't register.
Okay, we're going to smile again, but I think that's really good.
Okay. All right.
We get it.
Oh man!
Is it not? Has anybody else
taking little snippets of the screen? And
anybody
I don't know.
Can do it. Someone else can do it. I'm not good at this.
All right, let's smile again. Okay.
Thank you. I used to be able to do it on my computer. For some reason, it doesn't work now. I don't understand that. But
well, you know what's beautiful about this is that it's recorded, right?
Yes. Oh, we can take it off the recording. Yes, that's right.
I've got one, and I think it's a good one.
Yes, yeah. I think that what Scott's saying though is a really good idea. Is to go back to where we were as kids. I mean, like my diary. I mean, I remember I wrote it from the age of 13 to 18, and when I was 35, I was going to destroy it because I thought this is so embarrassing. And I thought, no, I must keep it. Now I'm 72. It's a really good record of things that you did when you were teenagers, and I think that we've got this. I believe that every baby is born with a natural smile and natural gifts, and then we lose it somewhere, or we keep it. But like with your experience, Farida, and you know, traumatic things that can happen to us, but everybody can have their smile back. And I think that's really what we're saying, isn't it? That it's not just a smile; it's a whole energy burst. So my goal is that in 2022, we create an authentic power grid. You know, like the electricity in the world is on power grids, but we're all power. So our authentic power connected through understanding all our differences, our different cultures, our different ages, our different all this. We connect that power grid of love and smiling. We can light the world up in a different way. That's my mission now. I can't hear
I
you,
love
Scott.
that, Pauline, and join you on it.
I love it. The quickest way from one heart to another is with a smile. That's how we connect, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm so lucky that I live my life with a big smile up in front. This is how I get around all day, every day. If I don't wear my t-shirt, I can genuinely feel the difference, you know, in how people respond to me. I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to enjoy being me.
Absolutely. And I just wonder if anybody's read that. Farida says, I believe my change helped me manage my experience with cancer much better. I think there's certainly evidence that smiling is going to keep us healthy and therefore let us avoid illnesses and deal with them. So, okay, so this is our mission now. When I take this recording down, I'll post it up. Let's share it as far and wide as we can. And connect with the Business of Smiles. Did you put your website in the comment, Scott? Anybody? It's the Business of Smiles. And
I hope you ask www.ihopeyoursmiling.com. Hope you ask.
Can I just add? Can I just add, Pauline? I think it has to do with the happy hormones. You know that when you smile, you know what is it? Is it oxytocin?
Yes.
Dopamine. You know, I think it has a lot to do with that. So the more
absolutely,
happy hormones you generate, then you will add to the cure. I don't know, Farida.
Well, I think
we need to do more of.
Yes, I mean, absolutely, Asma, and I think Alan, you were saying the same. So I imagine all of us as individual power sources, and as we connect this grid from Australia through Malaysia up into UK, of course, and Europe, across Canada and down through America around, I'm going to do some work in Africa, working with some really wonderful people down in South Africa and also Nigeria. Any connections, we just keep spreading the word about genuine energy, source of power, smiles, laughter, and then we'll get to dancing and all the rest of it. Because I love dancing. And one day where we're all in the same room together, wouldn't that be magical?
Yeah, we can still dance virtually.
and I hope, I don't know whether you all managed to see or watch the Jim song. I'm going to
Glorious.
Post it on here so that you can, where is it? Here's the, here we are. It's called Smiles Emerging from the Darkness. And Scott is still going to look for, there's the link for the YouTube. But I really want to get the word out there, get other people singing it. We've actually got a school principal in Kuala Lumpur, Dr. Veronica Shepherdson. I think her school is in Chalam, but she wants her kids to have it as their school song, but the kids will sing it. So there's lots of places that we can get people doing their own version of it. That's what we want to do, is to get the song out across the world, get other people doing their own rap, or, you know, they can change the sort of tempo, whatever it is. But the goal is that we get this power grid together, we can create the music of the world, the symphony. So that's something I want you to think about, is how we can spread the word and how we can really understand the shift that's going to come in the world, because we all do come together. And thank you, Scott. I want to thank you, Scott, for being you, and all of you for being you, and Scott in particular for sharing the story about the Business of Smiles, and to keep an eye on him online if you're on Facebook, because he does lots of crazy things. And Alan with the Campfire Project, and all of you with your different projects, make sure that we all keep coming together. And Adolfo, myself and Philip and the team at Corporate Heart International, we're really out there. What we want to do is to get men and women in the boardroom smiling, so that the corporate heart of the world makes people smile and want to be happy at work.
And can I just say something, Pauline, before we close?
please.
I agree. We all have to remember, right? We go back and think that all this magic is nonsense because business feeds the dogs, yeah? And it's not true. Leaders lead, and only resources can be managed. So if we can go out there with a genuine heartbeat, going into the boardroom and reminding leaders that they are not managers, they are leaders, and they will lead others and will feel more human. I'm kind of convinced that our management of resources will generate even more abundance. So thank you for putting this together, and for inviting me always.
Absolutely, you're an absolute vital part, as each one of you are. For me, my passion with Corporate Heart International is that we get the heart going, not just in the corporate world, but in the corporate body. We're all individuals, so make sure you get your smiley face. Thank you for being here, everybody. I really, really appreciate it. And I will take down the recording and send it to you with the transcript so we can record that. And we won't have another one of these till the new year because it's Christmas and all sorts of things. So if that's okay, we will find some time in January to follow up and do this once more. Is that okay, all of you?
Beautiful.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much,
Thank you, everyone. Absolutely brilliant.
Again soon.
Bye.
Bye.
See you all
Bye.
later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. I really appreciate that.
No, thank you, Pauline. Like, it's funny, like it's in the stuff that I do and how we do it, you'd think I wouldn't be smiling, but I am. So I'm just so grateful to be there with people. Like today I met a young guy, just started talking. He goes, what are you up to? And I said, actually, I'm here to make change. And he goes, how do you do that? I said, I'll just share stories about our dark days. We just had a conversation where, he was really bad alcoholic and he's working on himself. So, but he felt safe enough to share it. And that's the key. If we're safe enough to have conversations we need to have, that's how the world will change. Because we get out of here and we get onto here.
Making a difference. Pauline,
I think we should do a little booklet on smiles across different cultures and generations. Right?
Absolutely. Well, yeah, we have a look at these Keep Smiling books. I'll send you a link to those because the stories in there are all geared towards smiling, and it's fantastic. So we've already got thousands of stories, so we can add all of ours in as well.
Yeah.
I have to be rude. I've got to go. I want to say thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Take care.
Have a good week ahead.
You too, Charles.